Have you ever felt that someone with whom you once shared deep, meaningful moments just vanished from your life, without any clear reason? It's as if they disappeared into thin air, leaving you in silence, questioning whether they still think about you, whether they ever intended to come back. But all you're left with is the void and a haunting absence. And yet, despite that apparent choice to walk away, something inside you whispers that it's not over. Not really. That maybe, just maybe, the bond you shared wasn't entirely broken. You sense an unresolved energy, a connection still pulsing beneath the surface, even if unspoken. Carl Jung, one of the most influential thinkers of the human psyche, taught us that our relationships are never just coincidence. The people who enter and exit our lives don't do so randomly. There's always a deeper, often unconscious reason behind these encounters. So too, it's not by chance that someone doesn't reach out to you, even if part of them longs to. Jung believed that our psyche is guided by internal forces that are often invisible to our conscious understanding. Emotions, fears, projections, and unhealed wounds from childhood play a powerful role in how we bond with others. When someone pulls away without explanation, especially someone who once seemed so important, there's usually something deeper at play. If their absence still weighs on you, it's not necessarily because you haven't let go. It could be that, at some level, they're still energetically attached to you. Not through messages or gestures, but through unresolved emotions that continue to echo between you both. Jung spoke about a concept called projection, the unconscious act of placing our inner world onto others. That's why some people leave a lasting imprint, even long after they've physically gone. When we form a powerful connection, we're not just seeing the other person, we're seeing ourselves reflected in them. What we love, what hurts, what triggers us, these are often mirrors of our own inner landscape. So when someone disappears from your life without warning, it might not be about you at all, but about what you represented. Your presence may have stirred something in their unconscious they weren't ready to confront. Perhaps, unknowingly, you became a mirror, one that showed them parts of themselves they weren't prepared to acknowledge. Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." But the reverse is also true. Being close to someone can force them to see what they've been avoiding. And not everyone is ready for that level of inner work. Inside all of us lies a hidden realm Jung called the shadow, the aspects of ourselves we reject, repress, or fear. These include our insecurities, buried traumas, forbidden desires, and unresolved pain. And when someone enters our life and activates these shadows, the ego often reacts by fleeing, because facing the shadow demands courage, and not everyone is willing to take that journey. If someone you felt deeply connected to has gone silent, unresponsive, absent, there are usually two possibilities. Either they're avoiding their own inner process, or the connection wasn't what you thought it was. In either case, the answer isn't to keep waiting or analyzing every unsent message or unanswered call. The real answer lies within. Jung taught that the unconscious is always speaking to us, not in words but through symbols, emotions, dreams, and often through the people who come and go from our lives. When someone exits without explanation, it's a chance to ask yourself, what is this revealing about me? Maybe that person reflected a part of you that still needs healing. Maybe their absence is forcing you to face an emptiness you tried to fill through their presence. Or maybe what you're really seeking isn't their return, but the understanding of what part of yourself you projected onto them. This is just the beginning of a journey, one that leads into the hidden depths of your unconscious mind. Carl Jung once said that our relationships are the most powerful mirrors of our unconscious mind. When we feel a deep connection with someone, it's rarely just about chemistry or coincidence. It often means that this person reflects something within us, an old wound, an unspoken desire, or a part of our psyche we've long ignored or hidden. So when someone leaves our life without warning, when they withdraw without closure or explanation, the pain we feel isn't just about their absence. It's about the emptiness that connection was masking. It's about the hole that was temporarily filled by their presence. Something we perhaps didn't even realize was there until they were gone. And even if you try to convince yourself logically that it doesn't matter, that you've moved on, deep down, you may still find yourself hoping for a message that never comes. Why? Because what you're longing for isn't necessarily the person, but the part of yourself that you felt connected to through them. That part of you that felt seen, felt alive, or even felt whole for a moment. Jung explored this deeply through his concept of individuation, the lifelong process of becoming our true whole selves by integrating all the fragmented and repressed parts of our psyche. When someone disappears and leaves you in emotional limbo, it may be the unconscious inviting you to look inward, to ask, what part of myself did I hand over to this relationship? What void was I hoping they would fill? We often believe that if the person returned, they would restore something we lost. But that's a powerful illusion. The unconscious doesn't leave loose ends. If someone is no longer in your life, it's because, whether consciously or unconsciously, their role in your personal evolution has come to an end. If their absence still haunts you, it means there's something about that connection you haven't yet recognized, accepted, or healed. Maybe this person triggered a fear you've carried for years. Maybe they reflected a part of you that you've always longed to become. Or maybe they were simply a projection of your hopes, your unmet desires, your unlived potential. Jung taught that we are often drawn to others because they represent undeveloped aspects of ourselves. That's why love can feel so overwhelming. It taps into something much deeper than attraction, and when it ends, the pain can feel existential because it feels like losing a part of your identity. So if it hurts that this person isn't reaching out, if you find yourself wondering why they haven't come back, don't look for the answer in their actions or in their silence. Look inward. Ask yourself, what was I searching for in this person that I haven't yet found in myself? Because once you truly begin to understand that, everything changes. You stop waiting. You stop clinging to the fantasy of reconciliation. You stop needing someone else to fix a pain that was never theirs to heal in the first place. Instead, you begin the real work, the inner work. You reclaim the part of yourself that felt lost in that relationship. And that's when transformation begins. When you allow the lessons of that connection to become a part of your growth, when you take what that person represented and turn it into insight, healing, and strength, the weight begins to lift. You no longer depend on the other person to do or say something to relieve your suffering. You realize that the real answer, the real power, has always been within you. The unconscious has mysterious ways of teaching us what we need to learn. Sometimes it uses love, sometimes it uses heartbreak, sometimes it uses silence, but it always leads us toward a more whole version of ourselves. So if someone hasn't reached out, even if deep down they still care, it may be because something deeper is holding them back. Their own unconscious process might be keeping them from facing the truth, just as yours may be calling you to face your own. And in that space of silence, instead of asking, why aren't they coming back, try asking, what is their absence trying to show me about myself? Because that's the real question. That's where the healing begins. When someone vanishes from your life without explanation, the biggest mistake you can make is to search for answers outside of yourself. You might catch yourself over-analyzing the past, scrutinizing every text, every glance, every silence, trying to decode hidden meanings in what was or wasn't said. But this constant search for external signs is a trap laid by the ego. It's a defense mechanism that protects you from facing the one place that actually holds the answer, your inner world. Because the true pain of their absence isn't rooted in their physical departure. It lies in what their presence symbolized within your personal narrative. Carl Jung often said the unconscious always finds a way to express itself. And one of its most powerful channels is through relationships. Every person who enters your life serves a symbolic purpose. They awaken something dormant, activate an emotional wound, or reflect a part of you that's been hidden, ignored, or denied. If someone still occupies mental and emotional space in your life long after they've left, it's because their presence brought a message you haven't fully received yet. This is why the concept of closure is so vital, not as an act of forgetting or dismissing, but as an act of integration. It's not about becoming numb or indifferent. It's about understanding what the connection meant, what it revealed, and why it needed to happen. Because if you don't consciously close that chapter, you'll unconsciously keep reliving the same story, with different faces and names, but the same emotional script. You'll continue attracting similar dynamics, feeling the same hollow ache, asking the same unanswered questions. To truly close a cycle means to honor what the person represented, to see the lesson, thank the experience, and reclaim the energy that's still bound to the past. Jung taught that the unconscious communicates through symbols and patterns. So if you find yourself stuck in thoughts of someone who's no longer part of your reality, if you keep hoping for something that may never return, it means there's a message your psyche is still trying to bring into the light. That message might be about emotional dependence. It might point to unresolved abandonment wounds, or parts of your identity that you handed over to someone else, believing they could fill your internal void. The first step to liberation is to stop focusing on what they did or didn't do. Stop asking why they don't reach out. Start asking what their presence revealed about you. What part of your shadow self did they activate? What emotional mirror did they hold up? If you don't address this, the same story will repeat, just disguised with new names. The second step is integration. It's not enough to understand intellectually. You have to feel it, grieve it if you must, because often what holds us hostage isn't love, it's avoidance. We hold on to hope that someone will come back because we're afraid to face the full weight of their absence. But Jung reminded us, real transformation only comes when we face what we've been running from. When you finally accept that someone is no longer in your life, not just in thought, but in your body, your energy, your emotions, when you stop waiting for their return and begin tending to the wounds their absence revealed, a powerful shift occurs. You stop anchoring yourself to the past. You begin to reclaim the energy you had scattered, and then something beautiful starts to happen. Without even trying, you begin to feel whole again. You see yourself with more clarity. You stop chasing external validation and realize that the longing you projected onto someone else was always a longing to reconnect with yourself. Maybe one day that person will return. But if they do, it won't be because you needed them to fill a space. It will be from a place of completeness, not lack. And if they don't, that's okay too, because you no longer need them to. You've already returned to yourself. Perhaps what you once called love was really a projection, a reflection of the love you hadn't yet cultivated within. And maybe, for the first time in a long while, you'll feel something deeper than longing: peace. Because emotional freedom doesn't mean forgetting someone, it means remembering without pain. It means looking back with gratitude, not regret, and looking forward with the quiet confidence that your best is yet to come. So I invite you to walk this path of self-discovery and emotional healing. If this message resonated with you, I encourage you to share it with someone who may need to hear it too. Someone who might be lost in a similar maze of silence, hoping for answers that live within. Leave a comment and tell me, what part of this reflection touched your soul? What lesson are you carrying forward? Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss future content. Here, we're not just talking psychology. We're navigating the depths of the unconscious, learning from Jung, and stepping into the fullness of who we are meant to be. Thank you for being here, for listening, for being part of this collective journey. The power to heal, to grow, and to find peace has always been within you. Now is the time to claim it. I'll see you in the next video.